I would like to next cover our latest research on the return on investment and return on research for investing in high performance computing. And as I load my slides, I'd like to thank everyone in the community for providing information and helping us with this research. It's really been extremely helpful and useful to get so many people around the world helping us, and you'll see how much data we have right now. In addition, I'd like to thank the Department of Energy for their insights, their wisdom, and also for funding this research. We're very pleased with all the work that we've been doing on this part, and with their assistance, it's just been tremendous. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our return on investment methodology, we basically developed two different models. One is a macroeconomic model that looks at the financial investment. So it's financial return on investment in the forms of revenue, profits, or cost savings. And the whole second part of it is return on research. And this is looking at the different innovations that are done with HPC. And it's really on two parameters: how important the discovery was or innovation in the world, and then how many organizations can use the innovation itself. And we combine those together into an innovation class index. So here are the updated projects. We now have 763 projects in the database itself. And to ensure transparency and to make this available for the whole community, we are posting it, you can see at the bottom there, www.hpcuserforum.com/ROI. And currently we have 401 academic projects, 58 government projects, and 304 industrial projects for a total of 763. Here are the different types of projects that are in the research database right now. And you can see that creating a new approach, there's just under 300 of those. Creating better products, we're at 193, discovering something new. And the data structure is in Excel with a lot of pivot tables, so you can source, slice and dice all the data in all different ways. So here's the real results, the updated results. The return on investment for revenue is now running at $507. So what that means is for every dollar invested in high performance computing on a specific project, on average it returned $507. And on average, $47 for profits or cost savings. Now I want to be real clear on the type of return on investment we're referring to here. This is looking at one input and one output. The input is the HPC investment. The outputs are either revenues, profits, or cost savings. It does not look at all the other costs and investments required in between, which is a standard way of doing ROI for certain projects. In addition to that, the average HPC investment per innovation was around $2.6 million. Now, that's not saying that if you have $2.6 million, you can create an innovation. It's saying that's how much was required across the sample. And keep in mind, another nice thing about this whole data structure we have is these are 763 stories or case studies in the successful use of HPC. So next, I'd like to talk about the return on research, or we call it ROR. So I mentioned we use two different scales that we combine together to a class category. The first scale is the importance of the innovation. The highest rating would be number 5, one of the top 1 to 3 innovations in the last decade in a specific field, and then 1 would be one of the top 50. The impact scale is how useful is that discovery or innovation. The lowest rating would be a 1, that it's only recognized by experts in the field. A 2 would be an innovation that's only useful to one organization, typically the one that discovered it. And then the higher level one is 6, would be an innovation that's useful to 50 or more organizations. So we combine those two scales into our class index. And we actually have 8 different levels. So a class 1 innovation would be one of the top 1 to 3 innovations in a specific field in the last 10 years, plus it's useful to 10 or more organizations. For example, a class 5 innovation would be one of the top 25 in a field and is useful to over 10. And you can see the scale here. So looking at the innovations ranked by importance in our current database, we have 650 different innovations in the database. Again, these are 650 separate projects that generated some form of an innovation. And the scale is working fairly well for us. The concern we always have is, will everyone say we're number 1 in the world or the top level, or will they use part of the scale? And you can see there's 23% rated at 5, 25% as a 4, 28 at a 3. So the scale is used fairly well. The second scale then is the impact of the other organizations. And so again, the scale is fairly broadly used. 20% say it's useful to 50 or more. 31% is between 10 to 50, which is the most common response. And then what we do is we combine that together into the class index. And this is showing the class index across all the 650 projects. Now, the interesting thing is this is kind of like a guide post or a milepost that shows all the innovations around the world. So individual organizations or countries can then map themselves against kind of this scale right now, right, as far as the rankings going across. And so here's the count of projects and the percent of all projects. Again, just the data behind the previous chart. And so the future outlook right now for HPC, we think it's going to continue to have extremely strong return on investment and return on research. In particular, there's so many projects out there that can grow and expand. And this data is very helpful for government policymakers, commercial project planners, CFOs, heads of R&D, CTOs, to help justify investing in HPC. And then looking forward, when we start incorporating AI, deep learning, machine learning, perhaps quantum computing and other new technologies, we expect to see even tipping points or leaps ahead in the return on investment and return on research. So in summary, for all of the presentations we've made, our conclusions are the pandemic is expected to impact 2020 quite heavily, around 14%. And we are updating our forecasts every quarter. So the 14% may still move around some, although third quarter is looking fairly good right now. For 2021 to 2024, we do expect to see very strong growth as we have historically. And the exascale systems will drive a lot of that at the very high end. AI, HPDA, and big data are the hot growth areas across the market. And then as we track cloud computing separately, we're seeing tremendous growth in cloud. I mean, just extremely strong growth there. We're also seeing a lot of new emerging technologies, and that's the exciting part about this industry, is there's always something new technologies, new areas of research, whether it's in the processors, AI memory, software, storage, and everywhere else. And as we've said a few times through our presentation, storage will likely see the major growth here, driven in addition to the traditional modeling and simulation, which is growing a lot of it, but AI and big data are just really increasing the amount of storage. And then also in summary, you can download all of our presentations and all the video recordings of these. And for any additional information about access, questions you may have, because we'd be glad to help out on any questions you have, you can contact us at info@hyperionres.com. And we'd like to thank everyone for taking the time for listening to our presentations and joining in for the virtual supercomputing.